Isaiah 42:9. Behold, the former things have come to pass, and new things I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. The greatest prophecy ever foretold. Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. Dateline, circa 5th century BC. John chapter 12, verse 13. They took palm branches and went out to meet him, shouting, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the King of Israel. Verse 24 of Daniel chapter 9. 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city, to finish transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. A specific time period of 70 weeks, that is 7 or 490 years, is given to Daniel for the completion of this prophecy. Note, in this verse here, weeks is the Hebrew word Shabuah, simply means 7. Notice also who this prophecy is directed to. Your people, or specifically the Jewish nation. Compare back to verse 16 and following. Notice also that it speaks of your holy city, and that is the epicenter of this prophecy, referring to Jerusalem. Also take note that this prophecy is clearly referring to a future event that would be understood as the unprecedented culmination of world history as we know it. Verse 25 of Daniel chapter 9. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. A total of 483, that is. The street shall be built again, the wall, even in troublesome times. We are commanded, as Daniel was, to know and understand the words of this very important prophecy from the Lord. The prophetical launch begins with a certain command, a documented historical event. This prophecy of the coming Messiah is both remarkable and extremely precise. There was only one documented commandment to restore Jerusalem and its wall. On March 14th, 445 BC, as confirmed by modern archaeology, King Artaxerxes of Persia issued the commandment to rebuild Jerusalem and specifically included its wall. The book of Nehemiah records this account of rebuilding the city and its wall. See Nehemiah chapter 2, verses 2 through 9. This portion of Daniel's prophecy totals 69 weeks or 7 Shabuah of years, and chronologically this totals 173,880 days. The long-awaited Messiah would arrive and be publicly received by his people on this day. On April 1st, 32 AD, the 10th day of Nisan, Jesus was declared and proclaimed for the first time in a public setting to be the Messiah, exactly as foretold by Daniel. Zechariah 9:9 records this event. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming. He is just and having salvation, lowly and riding on a donkey, a colt, the foal of a donkey. Verse 26 of Daniel chapter 9. And after 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined. Immediately following this fulfillment of his arrival, the Messiah would be cut off. Hebrew, karath, literally means executed. The people of the prince who is to come refers to the Roman Empire and its leaders. In 70 AD, Titus brought in the armies of Rome and destroyed Jerusalem and temple. The Jewish nation was crushed, and the people were either killed or scattered throughout the world. Verse 27, Daniel 9. Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. But in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation, which is determined, is poured out on the desolate. The he is the prince of verse 26. It is a ruler, also known as the Antichrist, who would bring in, quote, a covenant of peace treaty to reestablish the nation of Israel along with other nations in the last day. The final completion of Daniel's prophecy is referring to the missing 7 years of verse 24. This he is the beast, that is Antichrist of Revelation chapter 13. This identified as the 70th week of Daniel. Notice that this prince in verse 26 is also identified as the man of sin or son of perdition, and he breaks this peace covenant midway after 3.5 years into the final 7-year period called the Great Tribulation. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verses 3 and 4 record this. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Verse 27, Daniel chapter 9. Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he will bring an end to the sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of abominations shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate. Again, it is at the end of this time, with the completion of Daniel's 70th week prophecy, that Jesus returns to this earth to bring in his everlasting righteousness, referred to in verse 24. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, 7 and 8, the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way, and then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The Hosanna, that is, save now cry of that Palm Sunday long ago, will be realized in a heavenly celebration. Revelation chapter 9, verses 9 and 10. After these things look, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, with palm branches in their hands, crying out with a loud voice, saying, Salvation belongs to our God, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb.